Hi everyone, I'm Swati from India Hikes and you're watching Trek with Swati. In today's episode of the Deep Dive series, we're talking about one of the most popular treks in our country, and I'm talking about the Kedarkantha trek. I'm actually very excited to talk about this trek today because it's one of the first treks I personally did, and I have with us the founder of India Hikes who actually explored and put this trek on the maps of our country. So let's hear from Arjun Majumdar, our founder, about the entire backstory of Kedarkantha and also the tiny nuances that trekkers tend to miss out on. So let's hear from him. Hi Arjun, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Swati, for calling me again.
Arjun, Kedarkantha is a trek that is very close to your heart, and it is one of the first few treks that you actually explored and put on the map of our country. I think before India Hikes went and explored it, it was almost non-existent. So tell us a little bit about the backstory of the trek.
See, to go to the backstory of this trek, we have to go back almost 10-11 years, Swati, almost back to 2009 when India Hikes had just started. We were very small. We were very idealistic at that time, and of course we still are, but at that time we were very keen to bring out a winter trek in our country. India did not have a true winter trek. Now, by a true winter trek, what I mean is a trek where you go camp in the wilderness, you stay in the wilderness, you see snow around, you have a great adventure, you go to different places and then you come back. That's a true winter trek, and our country didn't have it. And for very logical reasons, because you know what, trekking in winter is not easy. For the biggest reason is you are covered in snow and you need to find water. You need a place where you can camp where there is water, yet you're in the wild, and you need to be able to make a trail through the snow, go from one camp to another. So a lot of permutation combinations need to fall in place. So with our experience of trekking, even before India Hikes, we were trying to stitch a trek together, and we were hunting high and low, from Himachal to Uttarakhand to even Sikkim, West Bengal. We were all looking at a past experience, what could be a winter trek. And we were just not able to bring out a winter trek. At that time, we had just started the Rupin Pass trek. People, in this region that we are talking about, the Kedarkantha region or the Sankri region, we were now quite, we were all a family together. And it's at that time when they talked about this trek, which was at their backyard, the Kedarkantha trek. So they would tell me, sir, कभी भी टाइम मिलेगा तो आप आ जाना, हमारे इधर एक छोटा सा ट्रैक है, मंदिर है ऊपर, हम उधर भेड़ बकरियाँ ले जाते हैं. We take our sheep and cows and we go grazing there. We'll just go take a walk and come back. You'll like that place. It's very nice. Its scene is very nice. I said, yeah, okay, we'll go. We'll do it. It's like how you talk when you come to a house. You go and see the temple behind my house. It's that kind of a feeling which I had. Nothing that Kedarkantha is a trek as such. It's just a nice outing behind Sankri. But at that time I had seen photographs of this trek and it had captivated me. I remember that very, very well even now, that I had seen these photos of this lovely forest, this summit over there, and this thought stayed in my mind. This trek is just not a backyard trek, it could be more than that. So when we were looking for this winter trek, I came around to our folks and I asked, can this trek be changed to a winter trek, because it's right in our backyard, it shouldn't be too difficult to mount. At the same time, if we have additional camps, maybe we can make it easier in winter, because it's in snow, we can convert it to a winter trek. And our folks outright denied it. They said, sir, kya baat kar raha hai? Idhar tak baraf rehti hai. They said, that snow is going to be up to your neck. I left it. When they are talking out of their experience, you generally don't counter-argue that. But the thought stayed in my mind. And I kept revisiting this thought every 2 or 3 months. And I kept coming back to them and saying, you know what, but what if we have a camp in one of the clearings? What if we, cut a trail through this forest, and if you can do it? They say, nahi sir, bahut baraf rehti hai, wo namumkin hai, it's not possible. I kept coming back again after a few weeks or a month, and I said, well, why not? What if we force our way through? What if we actually, make a trail through this thing, through this snow, and will that be possible? it's at that time when they started taking me a lot more seriously. And they saw that I was pretty keen on having a winter trek in our country. He said that, sir, अगर आप इतना बोल रहे हैं ना, तो हम कोशिश कर सकते हैं. Let us try. Let us try making this winter trail. I said, if you're sure, then I will put an exploratory group on this. I want to see if it is actually possible. We had a conversation quickly at that time. I remember we just sat together around a fire, and then he said, sir, we will, we'll keep a camp over here in this clearing, and we will make a new camp here. I know we are aware of the shepherd's hut right on top, because we take our goats and sheep, so we'll keep a camp near the shepherd's hut right at the top, just below the summit. Then we'll keep another camp here, in this clearing, and then I think we can stitch together a trek like this. So we discussed it, and that's what has become Judaka Talab and KK Base and Hadgaon as camp now. And I said, okay. And we put an exploratory group together. Sanday and I, we led the team, and would you believe about almost 18-19 trekkers joined us in this exploration. And we explored this trail. It was in the last week of Christmas. There was snow on the ground, but we actually did the trek in these same spots that we were talking about. We camped at Judaka Talab, which was never a camping ground. We camped at Kedarkantha Base, we camped at Hadgaon. We actually went to the summit and we came back. And it turned out to be such a great experience in winter. We were absolutely bowled over, and in our hearts we know here was the trek which our country was looking for. And we came and talked a lot about it. But what's the reality? This trek didn't catch on immediately, because trekking in winter was not even a feasibility in our country. Nobody even imagined that trekking could be done in our country. In our country at that time, trekking was all high altitude treks, 14,000–15,000 feet treks. And it was done only in 2 seasons. Either you did a trek in summer or you did a trek in autumn. Winter trekking was quite unheard of. So, and there we are talking about a true trek in winter, let's do this, and it's great and this thing. So it took almost 3 to 4 years for it to catch on.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes, and today Kedarkantha is the most popular winter trek in our country, and I would go for as much ahead to say it is probably the most popular trek even without winter, because of the sheer amount of people it draws. Sangkri has become a trekking hub in our country, where Sangkri was just a lone village when we went and talked about it. And so that's the change which has brought about, and thanks to Kedarkantha, there are now about 7 or 8 other winter treks in our country, which are equally good.
Oh, what a legacy the trek has. It's almost like there is an era before Kedarkantha and an era after Kedarkantha. So Arjun, let's dive into the trek itself. Now, I always hear you talking about clearings on the Kedarkantha trek. Now, frankly, I'm not sure many trekkers even know what these clearings are or where to watch out for them on the trek. So tell us a little bit about these clearings on the Kedarkantha trek.
See, clearings on a trek are not very common in most treks. Now, what's a clearing? Clearing is a large open ground, quite a reasonable altitude, maybe above 8–9,000 feet high, surrounded by forests and trees. But you are right in this flat open ground, undulating ground, grassy ground, meadowy almost. That's a clearing, and they're extremely beautiful. Being right in the middle of the clearing, or walking through a clearing, or cutting your way through the clearing, you have this big enclosure of forests, and you're right in these things. There's no other trek in our country which has as many clearings as the Kedarkantha trek, as beautiful as the Kedarkantha trek. You keep going from one clearing to another. You have a clearing, then you have the forest. You get into another clearing, another forest, and you keep doing that. Light falls on this clearing at such lovely angles. You will go mad looking at this clearing. It's that beautiful. Just to see the clearings on the Kedarkantha trek, you will want to do that trek. No other trek in our country comes close to it.
Sounds like a dream, really. So next, let's talk about what most trekkers absolutely love about the Kedarkantha trek. That's the summit climb. Now, this trek has actually a very adventurous summit climb. Tell us a little more about that.
See, anybody who's into trekking, one of the biggest wishes they must climb a summit. And Kedarkantha is a true summit. It is not a false summit where you're going to a high point. It is a true summit. You're climbing a summit, and there are multiple routes. You catch the ridge and you climb. It's an effort to get there. And whether you are an experienced or an inexperienced trekker, you will love the high of getting to the summit and catching the views from the summit. So the summit climb on Kedarkantha trek is absolutely adventurous. And getting to do it, sometimes even dead in the winter, whether it's winter or in any other season, that whole summit climb is extremely thrilling.
So now tell us about the forests, because I have heard you speak extremely magically about these forests on the Kedarkantha trek. So tell us a little more about that.
Swati, I've seen a lot of forests on trek, but some of the forests on the Kedarkantha trek will captivate you. It's the colors of the forest, and not only the colors, it's the way the forest is laid out. There's a lot of biodiversity in this Kedarkantha forest, in this slopes. So it's just not one variety of trees that you're seeing. You're seeing multiple varieties. So they shed the leaves, their trees are of different colors. So you see multiple colors on this, in these forests, and of different kinds, and it's thick. You're cutting your way through these forests. And you know what, though there is a trail, you can always go off the trail and get back on the trail, which is not really possible on most other treks because the forest would be too dense. Here you can go it, you can see through the forest. You can see at a distance, and it's very magical seeing the forest. It's dense, yet you can see through it. And that's dead silence of the forest, the chirping of the birds, that omnipresence of, you know, the birds and wildlife, that not really so much of wildlife, but these birds and this whole secluded feeling that you get, the silence of the forest. It's very special in Kedarkantha trek. Colors and the way the forest is laid out. Yeah, I mean, all trekkers, whoever go on this trek, they kind of fall in love with it.
Yeah, I think when I went there, I've been in 2 seasons, and the sunlight in the forest is absolutely magical, especially early in the morning when the sun's just rising. So I want to ask you now about the different routes to the Kedarkantha summit. Now, from what I understand, there are actually quite a few routes, and most trekkers take the Sankhri route to the summit. So tell us a little more about what are the other routes and which route you would recommend to trekkers.
So Swati, I told you earlier that Kedarkantha is a standalone summit. So just like any other standalone summit, there are multiple routes to access the summit. To give you a parallel, like Everest. Everest has 13 routes to the summit, though the South Col route is the most popular, or the North Col route. Because when we explored Kedarkantha, we took the Sankhri route, so that has become now the de facto route. That has become the most popular route. But there are other routes. You can do the route, the Sankhri route takes the, what we would say, the eastern ridge of the Kedarkantha summit. You can even climb through the western ridge of this thing, and that's the route we take, the Gaon route. We take the western ridge and we descend down the eastern ridge. So we get best of both worlds. But there is a route in between, which is the Kodgaon route. These are all villages. Kodgaon, Gachongaon, Sankhri, these are all villages, and these are all start points of the trek. There are other routes as well. You can even do it from the Fulara Ridge side and connect back to Kedarkantha on a reverse direction of the Fulara Ridge and connect to the summit of Kedarkantha. You can climb Kedarkantha from the other side of the mountain, which is the Purola side, and climb up. And there are still more unexplored trails which you can actually, if you devise it, you can come up with it. So there are multiple routes. As India Hikes, we have kind of, we don't like doing the Sankhri route anymore because it's become overtly crowded and a lot of dhabas and all those things have come up. So we take this route, and plus trekkers get to see best of both worlds, the western side as well as the eastern side. So that's, it's a very secluded and a pristine route.
So I think that was very informative because there are so many routes that people don't even know about. I want to ask you about something else that trekkers love, which is a winter experience on the Kedarkantha trek. Now, most trekkers flock there in winter. Come December, I think by June, July, our dates get full for December. So what is that winter feeling like? Why is it so special in winter?
As I told you, Swati, we explored it as, to bring out the true winter trek, and then it's gone and settled. It's the oldest now. It's gone and settled as a true winter trek. So naturally the winter setting is magical. I mean, that's the reason why we started it as a winter trek. And kind of the legacy of winter trekking has set on Kedarkantha, and which is why people flock to winter trek. Obviously for good reasons, that the snowy setting, the summit climb in winter, the sheer adventure going from one wild camp to wilderness camp to another, all in this snowy white setting, forest floor lined up with under the snow. So it's a very nice, lovely setting. Legacy of the trek now draws people as a winter trek. It's a great winter trek to do. But I would say it's not the only winter trek to do in a country. There are others now equally mesmerizing. But because Kedarkantha is very close to my heart, I have a soft corner for the...
Now I want to ask you a perception that we have. Now Kedarkantha is a fairly short trek, not a very long one, just 4 days. And yet at India Hikes we call this a complete trek. So what makes us call it the complete trek even though it's such a short one?
Swati, on a trek you don't really go by the length of the trek. You go by what the trek gives you. Now Kedarkantha trek gives you some of the things which is true for any trek that you do, and that's why it makes it complete. For example, it has great campsites, superb clearings, lovely forest, and huge adventure of going to the summit and coming back. Lovely villages and culture to see through. What else do you want on a trek? It's absolutely a complete trek on your own, and I know that's why trekkers, once they finish the trek, they're flying 1 foot off the ground. They love it so much. We don't go by the days of the trek. What the trek gives us, that makes it complete.
There's one more aspect that trekkers tend to miss out on, which is actually the drive to the Kedarkantha base camp. So tell us a little more about it, because I really want trekkers to understand what the specialty of that drive is.
I think it's one of the most scenic drives they will do in the Himalayas. There are other drives in the Himalayas, but this one is particularly scenic. One, you start from Dehradun, you're quickly climbing to Mussoorie. Mussoorie, as you know, is one of the most famous hill stations of our country. You cut through Mussoorie, you go on the other side. If the day is clear, you're going to see those huge mountain peaks right after the library chalk. You will see Bandar Pooch. Then you will descend down to the river Jamuna. The Yamuna, that same black, ugly looking river in Delhi, is now the pristine blue and green river flowing next to you. You cannot even imagine it's the same river. And it's going to stay with you for a long time until you leave the river and you start climbing. You go to a place called Purola. It's actually from Purola, from where actually the magic starts. Now from Purola to the next village, which is Mori, is about 32 kilometers, and you actually have to go up, cross a pass and come down on the other side. So it's like 18 this side and 18 that side. It's like that. And this entire stretches through this one of the most beautiful pine forests you will see. It's so beautiful that all of us actually make it a point to stop in the middle of the forest just to spend some about 5-10 minutes before getting on and going on the journey. It's that beautiful. And then you get down to Mori. Mori is where you meet the Tons River, again a very beautiful river. Mori is in such a east-west direction that by the time you have reached Mori, it's around 4ish in the evening or 3:34, where the sun is now dipping in the mountains. The golden glow of the entire sun on that valley where the Tons is flowing sets the whole valley alive. The only thing is, right after Mori, there's this new hydel project which has started, which has murdered that entire view, because all the way from Mori to Sankri is actually very beautiful. If not for this hydel project, I don't like it anymore. But the hydel project kind of gets over at Naitwar. So again from Naitwar, the beautiful views start. Now you're climbing really high to Sankri. You start seeing the White Mountain summit views and things like that from there. You're on a valley. So it's that whole landscape starts changing. So it's a very beautiful. Because Kedarkantha is one of those few treks, any season you get in, you will love it, you will come back feeling so happy.
I will not debate you on that at all. I think that was extremely informative, Arjun. Thanks a lot for joining us today. I think our trekkers took a lot away from this conversation about Kedarkantha. Right from the backstory to what all to watch out for on the trek. I think that was very informative. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Swati.
That was the founder of India Hikes, Arjun Majumdar, joining us for a deep dive session on the Kedarkantha trek. We learned so much about the Kedarkantha trek, and I hope you were making notes, because all of these will come handy when you go on your trek. If you have any doubts, just drop in a comment. I will get back to you. You could also write to me on tws@indiahikes.com. And make sure you hit subscribe and the bell icon next to it, because we're constantly sharing information from the trekking world that you will not want to miss. And also follow us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, where we're bringing information about trekking trails, tips and trek talk. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Swati from India Hikes and you're watching Trek with Swati.